Welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington, you guys. My name is Kathryn Kauffman, and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night show. This is where we discuss what and who we are on this journey called life.
Thank you all for being here as well. My name is Rachel Adult Programming Kathryn Kauffman. Miss Kathryn Kauffman, all the way from Lexington, joining us here tonight.
Life and all things paranormal. Special shout out over here on Instagram to my Monday night buddy, Miss Joy Hall and B. Ferreira. Good to see you. Glad to see you guys here on a Monday night. And shout outs to the people that are joining here on the Facebook page. Always good to see you all. Let me know if you can hear and see me okay. I need to know if the video and the audio are working all right. The video wouldn't play for us today. I'm not sure exactly why. It seems to be stuck. So I guess we will have to reload that maybe. Maybe it'll play next time. Special shout outs to Paige Denise, Melissa Newman, Janice Nixon, Pamela Downey, Jacqueline Clemens Johnson. Good to see you here tonight. And Sharon Wilson, Susie Llewellyn, Jill Jones. Okay, thanks for the mic. Thanks for the mic check. If you guys were watching last Monday night, I told you about putting my hands down in the razor drawer. It's getting better, but I'm still having to wear a Band-Aid. But at least I'm down to one Band-Aid instead of two. Special shout out to Angel Lee. Good to see you here on a Monday night. So tonight's episode actually came from our discussion last week when we were talking about things, and we had mentioned seasonal affective disorder, and we also mentioned the death portals. Now, the winter death portals are still going to go on for quite a while. So next Monday night, I'm going to do a show specifically on those, so you kind of know why those are happening, why we have a lot of people that pass at this time of the year, and how come that happens. Shout out to Regina Burris over here on Instagram. And a special shout out to Deanna Combs, Will Height, and Ina Thompson. Good to see you, Ina. So seasonal affective disorder is something that really affects everybody, but in particular, I think it doubly affects people who are empathic or intuitives, because we're connected to the environment through feeling. And once the seasons start to change and the light recedes, those are big, huge changes for, our emotional health and our physical health. And it's very difficult for any kind of person with, accelerated abilities to manage. And so we're going to go over exactly kind of what seasonal affective disorder is and what you can do about it. And also, if you guys have any questions at all about seasonal affective, or if you have a hint for the audience on something that maybe has worked for you in the past and helped you deal with seasonal affective, please, please, please put it in the comments and share it with the rest of us, because we need all the help that we can get at this time of year, especially with, let's say somebody who lost their job last year because of COVID, hasn't been able to get employment, maybe living off of their savings or their retirement, and is seeing very little hope for the future. So they're already in kind of a state of a depression. And then we have the change of season on top of that. So it's the double whammy for those type of people, and my heart goes out to them. So seasonal affective disorder is really a type of depression, but it's kind of relegated to changes of the season, and begins and ends about the same time each year. So right around when the light starts to recede is when people that are affected by this will start to notice mood changes, sleep changes, and that kind of thing. So your symptoms usually will start in the fall and continue in through winter months. And it sort of really drains your energy and makes you feel moody. Like I said, it affects your mood. So less often people will have it in the spring because the light is starting to come back and they're getting their mood is lifting, of course, in the spring. Hey to Lee's Gowans. Nice to see you. Glad you're here too. So here's some of the signs and symptoms that you might have if you have seasonal affective disorder, and then we'll go over specifically winter seasonal affective. So here's some of the symptoms. Feeling depressed most of the day and nearly every day, and especially on days when it's rainy or cloudy. Losing interest in the activities that you've been doing over the summer that you enjoyed. Really, really low energy, and that's something that I've experienced in particular for this year. Having problems sleeping, that is a huge one, and we're going to go over chronotherapy as one of the options to deal with seasonal affective. Changes in appetite, changes in weight, feeling sluggish, agitated, easily irritable, having difficulty concentrating, and that can be doubled in a person who is perimenopausal as well. So you have that perimenopausal brain fog, and then on top of that, you've got the seasonal affective disorder, difficulty with concentration. So it can pose a huge problem for people. The feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, and guilt. And also, some people have it so severe because it causes thoughts of suicide. Shout out to Lana Lorraine, Taya Moore, and Sheila Sunley, and Susie Llewellyn. Vitamin D, she says, is a must throughout the whole season. I agree, Susie. It is something that I particularly stay on year round because of that. Hey, over here to Estella's Haven Perfumes. Good to see you. Would love to hear about your products. Leave a link, please. Okay, now specifically fall and winter seasonal affective, you can find yourself oversleeping because of this lethargy and sluggishness, and that kind of cascades into sleep disorders then because you're not on a set time clock for sleep. Appetite changes, okay, gain of weight because at this time of year we're craving carbohydrates, and that can kind of go back to ancient times when hibernation, you know, how animals will put on a lot of weight right before they go into hibernation. And so I'm thinking, is that some kind of genetic thing that we do? Tiredness, low energy. And so here are some of the things that we can do for that. Hey to Laura Day. So the first thing, of course, is phototherapy, and that's meant to compensate for the lack of exposure to sunlight. And so the phototherapy is supposed to mimic the sunlight, and it's thought to be linked to major depressive disorders with seasonal patterns. So you might sit there in a light box which emits a strong light. Now, the light, like I said, mimics natural sunlight, and the unit measure is called lux gauges, and the amount of light used in a treatment is lux gauged. Now, in a treatment, it's anywhere from 2,500 to 10,000 lux, but most seasonal affective disorder lights that I have found, the most effective are right around the 10,000 lux. Now, I brought mine down here for you guys to see, and I got this off of Amazon, and it folds out, and it has a 3 light setting, and I thought this base swivel, but I guess not. I don't want to break it. Okay, so woo, that's the brightest. then it goes down, and then you can put it down, like if it's just too bright. So you would want to sit in front of this at least 15 to 30 minutes. Now, this particular one off of Amazon, I think was only $29. And so they're relatively inexpensive. I remember back in the day when we first started using these, they were kind of expensive back then, but now I don't think that they're as expensive, and they're a little bit more reasonable to get. Special shout out to Rick Wade over here on Instagram. Good to see you, fella. Glad you are joining us for the chat. If you have any questions, just let us know. Hey to Angela Atkins and Helen Drinkwater over here on Facebook. Okay, so it's thought that the light naturally triggers the production of serotonin in the brain, which is something that you need if you feel depressed. Treatments usually last 10 to 15 minutes. Somebody who's new to this type of therapy, you may have to work your way up to the 30 minutes. Just see how you tolerate it, and really kind of gauge about how many minutes it takes for you to get a little bit of a lift from the phototherapy. Hey to Louisville, Trisha Lee out in Louisville. Good to see you. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is chronotherapy. And this was something that I had not heard of before, but in doing the updated research for seasonal affective, remember we were talking about in the symptoms that oversleeping or erratic sleep patterns was one of the problems or the symptomology of seasonal affective. And so chronotherapy is one of the things that we do to treat that. Now, it has to do with your circadian rhythm, and it's characterized by sleep that is out of sync with one's natural rhythm, or what is considered healthy rhythm. Okay, so let me tell you what the behavioral treatments are that you do. What you're trying to do is to reset your biological clock, because the seasonal affective symptoms have disrupted the pattern of sleep. And so we have to go through a process of getting it back in sync with your body. And so chronotherapy as a behavioral treatment consists of gradually shifting the sleep time in accordance with your desired schedule. For example, if you have trouble getting to sleep at your desired bedtime, you would delay your bedtime by a few hours each night until you reach your desired bedtime hour. The reverse would be true if you were falling asleep earlier than your desired bedtime. You would then advance your bedtime by a few hours each night until the desired bedtime is achieved. Once your desired bedtime has been established, you've got to adhere to that schedule on a regular basis. So we're trying to establish a regularity to the circadian rhythm. And so that's one of the big things that you can do for your seasonal affective disorder. Now, another one that I like to use, special shout out to Melissa Begley and her sidekick, Miss Cleo. So Liz says, I suffer from extreme SLAAP disorder year round. I do take meds, but no help. Depression gets out of hand at high times. Here it's now 2:00. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to also post a link to the Fisher-Wallace device. It's a new type of therapy that is being used for severe depression. It's not a pharmaceutical, and I will just post a link to the device in the comment section after the show. And for those of you that really have a lot of trouble with depression, you might want to look into that and talk to your physician about it. It might actually be something that you and your doctor might want to consider for you. But for those of us with just the seasonal affective disorder, salt room treatments are huge for really making you feel better almost immediately. And it's also called halotherapy. And these salt rooms are popping up more and more throughout the states and different areas. Of course, COVID may have put a stop to additional ones being open, but I do know that there is one here in Lexington. in Nicholasville and Brandon Crossing, and then there's also one in Louisville. So it's within driving distance of me that I have two options. And so what the salt room treatment does, besides the good effects that it has on lungs, skin, and your well-being, it really helps. Beneficial effects of negative ions on mental well-being are the particular things that we're interested in. So negative ions are produced during a halotherapy session, and they've been shown to increase mental clarity and mental well-being. So this is proven. The negative ions bond and neutralize the positive ions that are abundant in everyday life that we have all around us, especially through all the electromagnetic equipment that we're around. It's sort of nature's antidepressant, these negative ions. Now, what some of the studies showed is that the positive ions are the ones that create irritability, anxiety, and a hyperserotonin state, whereas the negative ions create a balance in the serotonin, and they really kind of affect a clarity across the mental outlook. And so, really going to a salt room and spending 45 minutes in a treatment not only will benefit your lungs, any kind of asthma that you might have, any kind of allergies you might have, but it is also going to benefit you mentally. So it might be something that you guys would want to look into. So Melissa says, I have a salt lamp in my bedroom that shines all night. Absolutely. Now, if you are using salt lamps at home, here's one thing you need to know. The salt lamps work more effectively if there's a little bit of moisture in the air. If your air is too dry, then there's not enough negative ions in the air. So if you feel like the air is really dry, or maybe you have a dry nose and you got a little bit of a nosebleed, you can kind of say, okay, air's too dry. Just do a little bit of a mist throughout the air where the salt lamp is to help it work more effectively for you. So the next thing that we can do is cognitive therapy. Now, we can go to counseling, and that's good and well, but I find that using binaural beats, solfeggio frequencies, and subliminal programming works best for me, and it can work really good for you guys too. Binaural beats, and what these are is, and you can get all of these things off of YouTube for free. You can listen to these for free. Binaural beats actually is a brain entrainment technique. And what it does is there are two tones that are sent from the video to the ears. That's why you have to use earbuds or headphones to get the technique to work. It doesn't work unless you split the tones into two different frequencies. The difference in the frequencies is equal to the brainwave state that you want, that allows your body to release serotonin, and it allows depression to lift from the mentation. And so once you listen to the binaural beats, you will get the effects of this beginning at the 10-minute mark. And I will put a link to some binaural beats in the comments after the show for you to use if you want to. So Ina says, so is the salt in the ocean water why spending time at the beach is so beneficial for so many? Yes. You can get the same ionizing effects, Ina, at a mountain stream, where the mist is coming out. You can get just as many negative ions there, but salt water is really efficacious at releasing these negative ions. Now, back to cognitive therapy. Solfeggio frequencies are another way that you can change your body's vibration, or the vibration in your mind. And it's based on a science called kymatics. And that starts with a CYA, kymatics. And that study of science says that certain frequencies or certain vibrations actually change the cell's molecular structure and creates a more positive resonant state. And so once you create a more positive resonant state within the body, what that does is it allows the electromagnetic frequency to be more efficacious. It allows the cell to release its chemicals and hormones more efficiently. That helps you feel better. And it really can make a huge difference in the whole family. Solfeggio frequencies, you do not have to use headphones. And that is something that you can play out in the open for to get the effect on the whole family, to lift the whole environment. And I will leave a link to a solfeggio frequency in the comments after we get done. So let's check for questions. Sherry says, can you post links? I need help. I'm suffering from postpartum and my son is months old and just had emergency surgery last night. Oh gosh. Let's send prayers out to Sherry and her baby and the family. Prayers out for you first, Sherry. And yes, I will post links to everything I'm talking about in the comments after the show. And just make sure that you kind of check with your doctor before you do any of these, because we want to make sure that it's right for you. Now, one other thing that you can use in cognitive therapy is subliminal programming. And subliminal programming, again, you're just listening to a video. It does sound like, really nice music, but it has the subliminal messaging in the background where you can't really hear it. And it is really programming the subconscious to lift the depression, to be in a more positive resonant state. And these are all free on YouTube and readily easy to use. All you have to do is listen and get the effects. Now, one thing you cannot do when you're listening to these is you cannot be, I hate this disclaimer, but can't be operating heavy equipment or driving a car. So listen to them while you're at home, though. And you don't have to be sitting still. You can put your earbuds in and put your phone in your back pocket and go cook or clean. And the work is happening up here in the background. So you don't have to take time out to be stationary and do this. Special shout out to Heidi over here on Instagram. Good to see you. And let's see. Let me make sure we've got everybody covered here as far as questions go. Yes, prayers for Sherry. Okay, now, when your brainwaves change with the binaural beats or with the solfeggio frequencies, your body releases serotonin. And that can really help you out temporarily, which sometimes is all we need until the next day comes and maybe better news is in the mail or something. Let's talk about gemstones, though. And it's a shame I haven't seen Barbara Bacon on here tonight, because I was hoping that she would be on here to help me with some of the gemstones. But gemstones that you want to work with for this season are exactly what we're losing. Like, we're losing warmth, we're losing light, we're losing grounding, okay, because we're not able to get out as much if it gets really cold or the weather is really nasty. So you want gemstones that are warming and grounding colors. You don't want to necessarily work with gemstones that are cooling colors like blues and greens, because that kind of adds to the cold feeling. We want to bring in the warm feeling that we're kind of aching for, or kind of depressed over losing. So colors ranging from browns, oranges, deep reds, vibrant reds, yellows, golds, all of those things, through your entrainment to the color vibration, that will lift your energy up. So some of the gemstones that you can use that are in these color ranges are carnelian. Carnelian is a really great one to use. Red jasper, that's a real strong one, and it really can be used for somebody who's got really severe problems. Red jade. Red jade is one of the most beautiful colors I've ever seen. It sort of has a translucent hue to it. Amber is an excellent one to bring in sunny, warm type of feelings. Citrine can be used. Mahogany obsidian. Rose quartz is a good one. It's a little bit cooling, but it does have a little bit of a pinky red hue to it. Muakkite is an excellent one. If you can find it, Indian pipestone is a really good one for grounding and for warming. Orange selenite, red coral, if you can find it, if you can find real red coral, because a lot of it is dyed these days and sold as fake red coral. And brown or red agate, or it could be a combination of brown and red agate. Brown stones can be a little bit on the cooling side, but they're really good for grounding. So bear that in mind. And now let's talk about supplements. Okay. Now, these are something you're going to have to check with your physician before you take these, because some of the supplements and herbs will deactivate the medications you're on, and some of them can cause like little side effects with the medications you're on. So you can check with your doctor. Always check with your pharmacist. I feel like sometimes the pharmacist knows more about drug interactions, herbal interactions, and supplemental interactions with your medications, because that's their area of expertise. So really call your doctor, call your pharmacist, and ask them if there are any side effects with these. So vitamin D3 is something that you definitely need to start on if it's okay with your regimen. Any kind of vitamin C, vitamin B12, and then some of the herbs that you can take that really give a lift to the spirits are lemon balm tea or even peppermint tea. And these are, lemon balm's a little bit more soothing, but happy and lifting. Peppermint tea is invigorating and stimulating, and it really will give you a pick-me-up in times when you need that. Now, some of the aromatherapy that you can use for seasonal affective are things like orange, cinnamon can be used in a mix. I find even though cinnamon is stimulating, it can be irritating to the nasopharyngeal passages. So use it very, very limited, or maybe in a combination of other oils like robber's relief or thieves oil. Those are good ones to use for seasonal affective. So don't just use the cinnamon by itself. It's too irritating for the nasopharyngeal area, but it is one that is stimulating and it will help get you going. Lemon essential oil is a really, really good one, along with orange, and you can use a combination of orange and lemon. Rosemary is very invigorating, but it's also cleansing. So it does clear out a lot of the negative energy in the environment. You can use peppermint essential oil, but it can be overpowering, so use it sparingly. And ginger is a really good one to use also. So a really good combination would be the lemon and ginger. And that would be an excellent combination to use to lift seasonal affective disorder. Okay, last thing I'm going to go over is exercise and physical grounding. And so what exercise and physical grounding do is they release endorphins and neurotransmitters. Now, when I say grounding, that can be any kind of exercise like walking, hiking, running, swimming, anything that puts you into contact with the earth that helps you feel more solid, more stable. If you can't get out, do some kind of physical thing like crochet or crafting, or something that you're working with your hands and you're focused on a task. And that keeps you grounded in the here and now. Now, endorphins are only one of the many neurotransmitters that are released when you exercise. Physical activity also stimulates the release of dopamine, norepinephrine, and your serotonin. So these brain chemicals play an important role in regulating your mood and helping the mood lift. I hope this helps you guys. And like I said, it may take me a few minutes to get all the links posted after the show, but bear with me. I definitely will get to all of them. Ina said, "What a beautiful light behind you. That light would be therapy for me." It's a backdrop of a chandelier. I like to change my backdrops up every couple of months just to keep you guys guessing on what I'm going to do. Now, remember, next Monday night, we're going to be going over something really important, and that is the death portals. And these are open from mid October until a little bit after Valentine's Day, sometimes March. And I'm going to explain what this is, why it occurs, and how this can be kind of a risk for people whose energy is weak during that time frame. Um, yes, Melissa says I cherish the beautiful trees in my yard. We do too. We love our trees. Headed Joe Price over here on Instagram. Well, thanks for joining me, everybody, and I do appreciate you guys showing up every Monday night. If you would like to help the show, go ahead and share this. Hit the share button on your news feed and share this out on your timeline for people that might have trouble with this, and this information might help them. And that's one of the reasons why I do the shows and I bank them on my YouTube channel, is so that when people have questions about this, or I know of somebody that this information can help, I can just send them a link to the YouTube channel, and hit a like on the video. And also, if you would, go to my YouTube channel and I'll leave a link to that. Subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And I'll see you next Monday night for the death portals, and we'll go over that. Kisses from Kentucky. I hope you guys have a fabulous week. Later. Week. Later.